I have started reading another book. I went back and forth on what books I was going to read for a while, but I ended up landing on Better Catch Up Krishna Kumar, which is a young adult romance about she was born in India and then moved to America when she was like 10. And then every summer she goes back to India. And so this is at like the end of the last summer of her going back to India before she goes away for university. She had this whole big plan to have like her last summer be this big adventure and like let loose and have all these important firsts. And like she didn't do that. And she almost had her first kiss with this boy named Amrit at a party, like her going away party at the end of the summer. But then she had had a little too much to drink and she almost puked on him. And so that kiss didn't happen. The plan had been that she would be getting on a flight the next morning or the next day to go back to America. But her flight got canceled. And so the date got changed to like 3 or 4 days later. And Amrit isn't in the city anymore. He's in a different area. And it's like an 11-hour drive away, because he's going to like a relative's wedding. Krishna gets this wild idea in her head that she has all this time, so she's going to road trip to where Amrit is and get her kiss, because he texted her and said he wanted to kiss her. So that's her plan, but the only way for this plan to happen is if she does this road trip with her cousin, who used to be her best friend, but after she moved to the States, her cousin started giving her the cold shoulder. Her name is Preeti. And her cousin's best friend, Rudra, who's this kind of like very withdrawn, quiet guy who Krishna like doesn't know very well and just kind of assumed didn't like her. And then they're road tripping together and they're getting to know each other better. And it's very clear that it's going to be Rudra who's actually the love interest. And I am enjoying it. It is a bi book, so that's very exciting. I don't consider this a spoiler. It's bi for bi, which is extra exciting. Always love to see it. I'm enjoying it so far. I will say sometimes the prose, like the way things are phrased, feels a little awkward. It's like I feel like there was an extra word here that didn't quite need to be here. Also, the English feels very British, which I know like in India, a lot of people speak English and it would be British English because India was a British colony. So that I understand to a certain extent, but Krishna speaking British English is weird because she's lived in the States. So, and like she referred to something in the States with a British term. And I was like, is this a holdover from how she speaks English when she's in India? Or is this how the author speaks English and doesn't realize that there are differences? Or like, I don't know, something just feels a little funny. That's where I'm at so far. I am enjoying it. I am excited to read more. And yeah, we'll see how this goes. Quick update. I am about 56% of the way through Better Catch Up what's her last name? Krishna? Whatever the title is. I'm still enjoying it. I do like the slowly developing dynamic between Krishna and I'm also blanking on the guy's name. My brain is not working today. I'm enjoying the romance. I will say up to this point, there's been this interesting dynamic where Krishna is assuming this guy can't be interested in her because she thinks that he's into Preeti, however it's pronounced. And, but like they keep having these moments and she's like super attracted to him and falling for him. And she's all like kind of conflicted and all this stuff because like, well, he can't, like, this isn't possible. There's no way he likes her because he's in love with her cousin. But then we just had a reveal about Preeti that kind of like turns that on its head. And I just want to say, I called that so early in this book. I was like, I'm pretty sure. I am enjoying this. The prose still is a little like odd in places, just a little like awkward. I also remembered, I commented previously that there's a lot of like more British English in this book and how it kind of felt odd sometimes, especially when the character was talking about things that happened in America. And I remembered one of the things where it was framed as if it was something said to her by Americans in America. When I say American, I mean US American. And she said that they called her oily plates, or oily plats, I guess is how they pronounce it. But in the United States, they don't say plaits, they say braids. So they wouldn't call her oily plaits, they'd call her oily braids. And this was like referencing like how she's been bullied and stuff for being, you know, a brown girl. But I just wanted to say that because I actually remembered what that phrase was. And yeah, I'm enjoying this. I'm over halfway through. I'm very excited to keep reading. And I will update. I don't know if I'll update at the 75% mark or if I'll wait till the end. I guess I'll see if I have stuff to talk about. All right, I finished reading Better Catch Up, Krishna Kumar, and I'm giving it a 3.5. I know earlier I said I was super loving it, and like the main complaint I had was just that the prose was a little awkward sometimes. But this book was too long. It got really repetitive, and like I get what it was going for, but it dragged out too much. And also like the last bit, I just got so frustrated with Krishna because, without getting too into spoilers, basically she initially is going to crash this wedding so she can meet up with this boy she was flirting with all summer and kiss him, because she never kissed him during the summer, and she knows this is her last chance to see him. And she's like, yeah, I'm not like in love with him or anything, but this is like, you know, the first guy who's really been interested in me, and I don't want to throw away this chance, and like I want to have an awesome first kiss and blah blah blah. But then over the course of the story, of course, she ends up catching feelings for Rudra, and she's not interested in this other guy anymore. And so that plan kind of falls out of her head. But like she's aware that Preeti and Rudra still think that she's going to this wedding to kiss this boy, because that's what she's let them continue believing, and she has not corrected that assumption. Editing Rachel here because I didn't actually do a very good job of explaining the situation without spoiling things. Basically, as I said, Krishna is still going forward as though she's going to this wedding to kiss this boy, when that's not her plan anymore. And of course, Rudra and Preeti still believe this because she hasn't told them anything otherwise, and this leads to a major miscommunication with Rudra, because Krishna and Rudra keep having this back and forth and this flirtation going on, and like he gets confused about what her intentions are, and it leads to this big miscommunication, which like the core of it is that she hasn't told him that her plans have changed and that she's not interested in Amrit anymore, which like why would he assume different? And it leads to this like big third act thing, and she's like confused about why he's being so distant and upset, but it's like, girl, why wouldn't he be? Even in the context of the scene, where I understand that like for reasons she's panicking about other stuff that's going on, she's like continuously like in her narration trying to puzzle out why Rudra is upset. And it's like, surely in the process of puzzling this out, thinking about this wedding she's going to, thinking about this wedding that she originally wanted to go to kiss this other boy, which Rudra knows about and still believes is the plan, like surely she would put that together, but she just doesn't. Basically, this book relied really heavily on characters just not saying things outright, and sometimes it worked. Like a lot of stuff that goes on with Preeti, I like that stuff was fine to me, because it was like the characters involved are genuinely working on incomplete information, and that's it. Like that is the problem. But it keeps happening where the characters are ostensibly talking things through, but then they still don't actually say things, and so they still keep having these misunderstandings. And there's only so many times you can do that in a book before I'm just like, okay, like somebody just say it outright. I just found that got very tired, and like I think this book could have been honestly like maybe 200 pages shorter. This didn't need to be I think this book was like 460 something pages long. It did not need to be that long. This could have been like a 350 page book. It just went on so long. I did still enjoy it. Like the first half, I definitely still really enjoyed. I appreciated how queer it was. And I also appreciated that there is this acknowledgement and respect for the idea that some people in certain environments, they just aren't going to fully come out. And that's totally fine. And there's no judgment against that, because other books will have this narrative of like, if you aren't out and proud, then you're like hiding or you're being secretive or whatever. And that's like, why would you do that? You should be proud of who you are, blah, blah, blah. And it like, it doesn't acknowledge how complicated it is to be queer and out sometimes, especially when you're dealing with things like these are Indian characters, and Indian culture has different ideas about queerness compared to, say, the United States, which is where Krishna lives. I could say more, but I don't want to get into spoilers. Maybe, actually, here's what I'll do. I'll end this video here, and then I'll have an addendum over on Patreon where I do get into spoilers and talk more specifics, because I do have more thoughts on the structuring of this story and how it ended up so long. But for this YouTube video here, I will say thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please leave, are there any emoji, I mean, other than the Indian flag, are there any emojis that relate to India? If you can find an emoji that you think relates to India, put that in the comments, because this book was set in India and all of the characters were Indian. And that will do it for this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye! I almost forgot buy bingo. This is a buy for buy book. I didn't think anything would count, but technically, because I make the rules, I'm gonna count healer for this one, because Krishna wants to be a doctor and talks multiple times throughout the book about her goal to study and become a doctor. So